Hey everybody, it's Monica May. How are you? My guest tonight is Tadar Muhammad, one of my favorite people in this community. Hey TM, how are you?
I am good, Monica. Very good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. In spite of all that's going on, Tadar, you've been having some real candid conversations with adults on what do we tell our sons, not our sons. And it is time to have that conversation. And I saw something that you posted about a conversation you and your son had. So your son is what, 9 now?
Yes, 9 years old.
9 big years. So we're talking about, of course, George Floyd. His funeral was today. Very, very, very sad. Um,
hmm
we got a lot going on in our communities across America. Many people are protesting too, and they are asking for change. But in the midst of all of that, we have these young Black boys that we're raising, and these young Black girls too. What are we telling them? What did you gather from your conversation you had last night with your panel?
Yes. So, as I sat and listened to all of the heartache and heartburn of George Floyd, there's a segment of that says we've got to keep the conversation going with our young men. So when they're faced in those situations, they know what to do. And as I looked at my son, who's 9 years old, I said, I want him to know. I need to make sure I understand and dig in a little bit further about what he's thinking. And so I asked him the same question. We tend to get together at night and talk to our family in general. So I get
Good.
my girls and my son around the table, and we call it brown table talk. They don't like it because the table is brown. So I try to keep, they don't like that. They want it to be something else called reflections. But we take a topic and we dig in, and
Mhm.
free to talk about whatever it is that they want to think about. And that night we talked about it, and I said, I wondered how many other families just don't know what to say to their son who's thinking about this issue himself, but doesn't have the words. And his comment, Monica, was, that we're being judged by our skin tone, is what he said to me. And I said, well, what does that mean? And we dig in a little bit more and go a little deeper. And he was saying, I like cops. Cops are good. I thought I was going to be a cop one day when I was younger, but he had that question and he didn't know the answer. He said, what about good cops?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and so the bottom line was I had to tell him, and he had to think through that and say, well, all cops are good. So he came to that realization that some are good, but some aren't. And what do you do about that? You know?
Mhm. Mhm. You see, what he's seen has changed his whole vision on what his career path will be. And so not only are things like that happening, but there's a lot of fear emanating from all of this. And some of the things that I took away from the conversation last night is we need to show positive images in our history to
hmm
young people so that makes them feel valuable, so that that way nobody can devalue them in conversation or in treatment.
That is so true. And that was interesting. So that conversation last night was about people just wanting to talk and get some of that conversation off of their chest. There was in terms of value, in terms of exposure, was another one that came up, Monica, was that whole comment about exposing kids to other things in
Mm-hmm.
their community, and
Mm-hmm.
not relying on someone else to tell them or create those messages for them, that the parents have to do that themselves and can't rely on the school or other people that they see, their friends, to do that for them.
Hmm. If you're just tuning in, to Dar Muhammad has Each One Teach One. He and his wife have an organization that teaches young people about the value in themselves. It teaches them work ethics at an early age, and it just teaches them about right and wrong. And it also helps foster the communication between parents and their sons more specifically about how to handle life and what's going on. Had a conversation today with someone who says that she has a friend whose son was pulled over, a young driver, and the cops immediately began to search his car for for a weapon. Now, my friend is white, and she says she knows that her sons would never be treated like that. And it's scary to think that kids the same age will not have the same experience. And what I can say to that is that's life.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we have to have these conversations with our boys, especially, and our girls, because sometimes they roll just as hard and sometimes may get a little flip with the lip.
Yes.
But there are things that we have to tell them, and we have to tell them about right and wrong. We have to tell them that all people are not bad, but we also have to be real honest with them, because
Yes.
we're dealing with different curfews in different parts of town here in Orange County. I don't know if you're aware of that, but from like 10 to 5 a.m. in certain parts of Orange County is a curfew. But in other parts, downtown Orlando, so that's going to include the Paramore area too, their curfew starts at 8. And I'm sure that that's to cut down with the protesting, et cetera, et cetera. But what do you tell your kids if they get caught out in that situation?
Yes, one of the things, we had that conversation with my older daughter who's about to turn 20, and it was similar. What do you rolling with someone that's out and they get pulled over? What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So, my wife said to my son and my daughter that, you need to say, right now, we need to follow the instructions of what's being told to us. But, I need to call my parents. I need to get on the phone with my parents and let them communicate with you. So that you do have some ability to have someone that you trust, someone that you know to speak for you. Because a lot of times you could say the wrong thing. And you got to have someone else in your corner that's willing to have that communication for you. Role model, you need to practice. You need to be in a place where you can practice what you might say. I call that the what if game. What if this was you? What do you do? What do you say? That's very important.
So with that what if game, Tadar, what are some of the responses that the kids are giving you?
Yeah, they're telling me that if they say what if I'm in that position, they say I'm going to keep my hands on the wheel. I'm going to say simple things with manners. Yes and no. Yes, sir. No, sir. Follow the instructions. They're saying things like, I had one young man tell me that he's going to say that he's going to put his hands up and he's going to make it very visible that there's nothing going on. Some of those are comments of the what if, or I'm going to tell them that I'm not going to follow your instructions. I'm going to rely on you to talk to someone else. So it's all over the board, but they really don't know what to say, Monica, to be very honest. They have no idea. Parents, in some cases, don't even know what to say in some of those situations.
I was talking to another advocate a little bit earlier today, and she said down in the Paramore area, when that curfew hits, you can see the police. Sometimes just their presence alone is insightful. Today, police presence can become insightful. And by that we mean just, puts everyone ill at ease.
It really does. And frankly, I think, you got to go into it thinking open arms, but you got to go in protecting yourself. You cannot, but you got to understand, just like you would go into getting a job, Monica, and you go in and get employed, you got to have the interview. You got to be able to speak a certain way, say things the right way. It's so volatile right now. You can make one comment can take it from 0 all the way to 10. And you not know how to bring it back down because you haven't been in those circumstances or situations.
I know that you work around the country with young people, ex-offenders, people who have had a hard time getting a job, with home builders. Do you want to talk about what your staff is going through right now with some of the what's happening in the climate right now?
Yes, well, there's young people around the country are challenged with what to do. And some of them, were working towards employment. Some of them don't have employment. And they're very upset.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times our staff are focused on trying to help educate them on what's the right thing to say.
Mhm.
What's the positive things you can bring to the conversation to help elevate one another? But it is rough. A lot of them behind the fence are saying, "Hey, I'm in here too for the same reason. That's why I'm here." So they got internal feelings. Their family members have internal feelings about this issue because their brother, their sister, their cousin are in some cases incarcerated for making a similar mistake and being arrested or in other difficult situations.
One of the things we said was set the example for what we want them to see. What was your take on that comment?
That to me was very important. That example means the it's funny because I think about the comment when I was growing up. It was do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah,
And that was my mother's comment, to
right.
me on a regular basis. Well, kids today are saying that's not enough. You got to be the example. Be the example. So if you want me to act a certain way, treat people a certain way, then you got to do it too.
Yeah. You know,
Do it too.
so when we go back to not our sons, what do you mean by that?
I mean by not our sons, I mean that that it's not going to be our sons, that we've got to bring more people to the table to have conversations so that we can protect them, educate them, and give them the skills to be successful so it's not going to be our sons. We're going to join together and say, it won't be our sons. It
Gotcha.
will not be. In the face of adversity, it's not going to be our sons. That happens through conversation and people stepping up and saying, I'm no longer going to be quiet for my son or my daughter in many cases.
Hmm. So again, Tadar Muhammad with Each One Teach One is an organization that teaches how to have these conversations, that teaches our children how to manage themselves, that teaches beyond the schoolroom, and it goes into life skill studies. And one of the conversations that we've been having is it's not going to be our sons. It's
Mhm.
not going to be my daughter. It is, I'm taking back control. I am going to teach them the right way to handle themselves or how to be kind to people. That was another thing that came up in our discussion
Mhm.
last night. Have healthier esteem about themselves. And then that way, no one can devalue them. And that's what he means when he says, not our sons. You're not
That's
taking them away from us.
No, no, we're going to keep our sons. We're going to educate them, and we're not going to let anyone else do that for us. Oftentimes, we let other people be the voice for our children. They go to school, they go out in the community. Not this time. It's up to us to step up and say we're going to be the ones to have the conversations with our kids first.
One last question before we wrap up. We talked about race last night, and I said that one of the things that you got to do is you got to have that discussion with your child early because they're going to get it at school. They're going to get it at school by being left out of situations, or like Monique was told in kindergarten or first grade, my mama told me I can't play with you because you're black.
Hmm.
And so when she came home, she said, well, I know I am, but why would that make her not want to play with me? We
Yes.
have to have those conversations because it's going to happen. So for parents who are afraid of doing that, or I don't think that they need to hear that, unfortunately today they do. They
Oh yeah.
do. You get the last word.
I just want to say, Monica, that curiosity. Kids are curious. They want to know. Your kids at every age want to know. Doesn't matter what age they are. And the only way that you can do that is navigate that curiosity. Be transparent. Be tell them, talk to them. Don't be afraid to go there. You got
Right.
to go there, and that means that sometimes you don't, but you have to today. You have to go there.
What's the earliest you think you should do it?
I think you should do it 4, 5, 3, anywhere anywhere, all the way up. When they can,
Earlier the better.
yes, when they see those books, Monica, those kids' books, you got to tell them what's in them books. What does that mean? When they have questions, you got to answer it. And when they're able to talk, let's go there. When they're able to talk, that's when you got to start.
And you start pushing that healthy esteem into them.
Yes,
Wow, Tadar, not our sons. If we want to find out more information about Each One Teach One, where do we look?
yes. You can reach out to the website. The website is eachone-teachone.org.
Okay. Tadar Muhammad, please give our best to your lovely wife, Gina.
Thank you. I will. Thank you, Monica.
And the conversation continues this evening at 7 with Pernell Bush and 3 other licensed mental health counselors. You can find that on Facebook. Tadar and I will do some more conversations on race relations with our kids, and we'll let you know about that. If you want to catch this interview again, you can go to Facebook or youtube.com and look for Monica May Communications. Thank you so much, Tadar.
Thank you, Monica. You the best.
Thank you.